Hi everybody, my name is Al, and in today's short Taxidermy Tip Tuesday video I am going to give you a quick demonstration on how I wire small bird legs. When you are a beginner and you get into small bird territory, it can be quite daunting because their legs are so small, and obviously if you're trying to push the wire through, you're going to be met with the resistance from the tendons, etc. So it's really important that you create a channel in the leg before you put the wire through, and this will prevent potential injury to the specimen, like forcing the wire through the skin, or potentially, even worse, tearing the leg off and making the specimen unusable. So I really hope this short tip will be useful to you. If you have any questions at all, just leave them below. I'll be more than happy to get back to you. But yes, it's really quick, and it should just make wiring those small bird legs a little bit easier. Okay, so what we're going to need are 2 lengths of wire. We're going to need to straighten these out with our flat nose pliers, just so these are not crooked. You want the wire to be nice and smooth and without kinks, otherwise it won't travel through the channel very easily. You can straighten those up. You're going to need a modelling tool that has a really nice fine point on the end. An insular needle, this is a 1 milliliter, but really try to find as small as you can go, and I filled it with very cold water. And then 2 pins of varying sizes. Now these are Euro pins. You don't have to use Euro pins. You can use haberdashery pins or any other sewing pins, as long as you've got 2 different thicknesses. These Euro pins can be found at any taxidermy retailer, so if you do like these, then you can purchase these, because a lot of taxidermists use them and they are very good. And then of course you're going to need your specimen. Okay, so here I've got my beautiful robin specimen. And before I do anything, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my insular needle. I'm going to make a tiny hole in the bottom of the foot, and I'm going to inject some cold water into both legs. Now you'll notice my specimen is partly dried. I always like to work on my specimens mostly wet, sort of drying as I go. So I'll mount the head, I'll dry it, mount the wings, I'll dry them, etc. Okay, once your specimen's legs have both been done, we need to take the tendons out. So to do that, I'm going to use my modelling tool. I'm going to make a tiny little hole in the bottom of the foot. And I admit this does take a little bit of practice, you're going to carefully hook and pull. You should be able to pull out the tendons. Very gently, you can see they come up, and we can trim those off. So I'm just going to use some little haberdashery scissors, take it right up to the pad, and take those off. Now what that's doing is it's essentially freeing up a channel in the back of the leg, but the next thing that we need to do is increase that channel. So I'm going to take my first smaller grade Euro pin, pop it in the hole that I just made, and then keeping the leg very straight, I'm going to run that pin down the entire length of the leg. Now because you've taken the tendons out, this should be pretty easy. And once you've done that, you're going to do exactly the same thing, increasing the size of the channel. Find that hole that you made. You don't want to make loads of different holes all over the place. Try and go back through the same hole each time. Keeping it nice and straight and guiding it through very gently, all the way up to the femur, and then, the tibia. And then you're going to move back and forth just to make sure that there's enough space for our wire. So the next thing that we're going to do is attempt to wire the legs. So what we're going to need to do is get the wire that we straightened up earlier. If it still needs straightening up, then go ahead and use those pliers again. We're going to find that same hole, and then again keeping the leg really straight and guiding your fingers along the leg. You should be able to run the wire now all the way up to where the tibia is. Okay, so you can see that that is wired. However, that's only that section And now I'm going to flip the bird and invert it so that I'm actually traveling the wire through the other way, so that I am making sure there is a clear channel, and you get more control if you come in from this side, I find. That's just my personal preference. So this bird doesn't actually have, it had a broken leg, so I had to take it off. So I will use the other leg for this demonstration. What you're going to need to do is get your pin, make a little bit of space around the bottom of the tibia, and then you're going to get your wire, make sure it's nice and straight. You're going to feed that down the back, inverting your leg. Now this bit can be a little tricky. Feels like there's a break here as well, but what we want to do is we want to run the wire into the back of the leg, down that channel. Now I use the flat nose pliers to do this so that I'm keeping it nice and straight the whole time. All the way down, just guiding it a little bit by little bit. I'm not using it up here because then the pressure might make it kink. You go right close to the bottom, you should see that your wire has come all the way through using the channel that we created, and then you can invert it. You can bend your wire to how it needs to be, depending on whether or not you keep the femur or not. Bind it, preserve it, and then that leg will be fully wired and ready for you to mount. Don't forget that you want to be keeping your legs nice and straight the whole time until you're ready to bend. And I don't bend my legs at the joints until I'm fully assembled and everything's all attached to the body. So I really hope you find that useful. It's quite straightforward, but I find it to be a really, really helpful little tip. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please leave them below. I'll be happy to help.